Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss about locators and we'll see what are the different types of locators and types of XPath, what is absolute, what is relative, how to find the parent, the child, the sibling, all of those things. Before getting started, if you are new to this channel, do subscribe and hit on the bell icon. So whenever I upload a new video, you will be getting a notification on it. And do follow me on my Instagram page as well. So let's get into the video. So in previous video we have launched the driver and we have tested even for the different browsers. Okay, and we have entered the values also. So in this video I am going to explain what is locators, how we should know which locators to use and which has the highest priority and all of those things. What I'll do is I'll just create one new class, new package. Okay, I'm just going to create Selenium 2. Selenium 2 is my package name, and inside this package I'm going to create one class, Selenium Locators, and click finish. So here I just forgot to give the main method. Just type main and give a control space so that you will get it automatically. Okay, what is locators? If you take Facebook, so this is a web page. When you are entering manually, you know that you have to enter here, right? You have to enter your name here, correct? But when you are doing that with automation tool, how will that particular tool identify this as to, like, the email that you are giving has to be placed inside this email field? How can Selenium identify that? So to identify that particular thing, we have locators. So there are 8 locators. So let me write here itself, locators in Selenium. So we have 8 locators. What all we see on the web page are web element. How will we know which locator to use? So in previous example, when I just entered the data here, I just used ID. So first let me give the number of list of locators so that we can talk about it. So first one, okay. So the first locator that we have is ID, and second locator we have is name. Third locator we have the XPath. Fourth locator we'll say CSS. Fifth locator we have class name. Sixth locator we'll tell this as tag name. Seventh, link text. Eighth, partial link text. So these are the 8 locators that we have in Selenium. So these are very important. Without knowing these locators, we cannot perform any action, whether entering text or clicking on that particular button or reading that input. We will not be able to do without locators. So locators are nothing but which is considered as unique identity of particular field. So when I tell unique identity, it has to be that unique. There is no duplication of that particular locator. In Selenium, always the first preference is given to ID. So ID is considered as unique because ID will not have any duplications. One more thing about locators is that when you take this login button, you have ID here which keeps changing for each refresh. Okay, so you can see here we have 052. Let me reload and again click on inspect on this ID. Now it got changed to 05DE, which means in this case the ID's locator is keep on changing, right? So at this time what happens is when we'll be writing the code taking this ID, but when we refresh, this ID would have got changed. At that time we'll get one error. You should know how to choose if I should take ID or name. When a locator which has digits or which has white space, avoid taking those locators. Let's discuss these locators one by one. Every action that we perform, sending a data or clicking, any action that we perform need a unique identity. These locators also have priority, so which to use, which to give high preference, which to give the low preference. First thing we have is ID. So ID is most preferred. Let me write it here as most preferred. When I click on this email input, I have ID here. Okay. If ID is there, we have to use ID. Okay. Just copy paste the name and use. Here in this case, we have ID, we have name. But why here we are not preferring ID is ID contains, here we have not the white space but it is too large. But in this case, it is better to prefer name. ID or name is most commonly preferred. Okay. So before that, let us tell WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup driver WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Okay. Then I'll tell driver.get and I'll paste the FB URL. So just copy this URL and paste it here. Done. Import this. Right click, import. Use this selector. Place it here. I'll take the ID from here. So how to write? So when you tell driver dot, here we are going to find this particular elements, particular fields, unique data. So find element. So here we have find element and find elements. Find elements is used for list of web element and find element is used for a single web element. So here we have find element. Okay. So it is showing by. So you tell by dot. So when you tell by dot, here you will have 8 locators. First is class name, CSS selector, ID, fourth is link text, name, fifth, partial link, sixth, tag name, XPath, eighth. So you have 8 selector. Using this 8 locator, you can just identify the unique thing and get that value. So first thing I am going with ID. So here you have select ID, string ID. Okay. So just click on that ID and here inside that just paste the value of ID which is there here. So we have email here, copy that email and paste it here. So if you note properly, here we have an input field. So what is the use of input field? We can enter text. We can edit text. We can enter text. That's the action that we can do on an input tag. Whereas on button, we cannot enter any text. We can only click on that button. So here we have to enter text. So to enter text, we have one function which is send keys. So what does this send keys do is it will enter text to a particular input field. So whenever it comes to an input field, make sure you are going to send the value. So here I will tell Sneha codes@gmail.com. So this is the value that I need to send. Okay. Now let us identify the next thing. So here we have password. Let's call the selector. Place it here. The password is here. Let's open. So this is a password. We have ID. We have name. You can prefer anything. So ID is most preferred. So I'll be preferring ID. Okay. Driver dot find element by dot ID. Let's tell ID was pass. And I'm gonna tell send keys. So this is my password. So after this, ID is pass. Make sure you copy the correct value. And then we have one button here which is login button. So here on login button, we have to perform click action. So we have to perform the action that should be click, not send keys. Copy the unique thing. In this case, we should not take ID. Why we should not take ID is, here ID contains number, numeric value. So when there is a numeric value, there is a chance of that number getting changed each time we refresh the page. So which is not unique. So in this case, it's better to prefer name than ID. Give an example of ID as well as I'll give the example with the name. So let's tell driver dot find element by ID. So this was the value there. I'm gonna tell click. So what this has to do is, it has to launch the facebook.com and it has to enter email, password and click on that button. This is what we are expecting. Save and run this application. You can see it got redirected. It entered, but it didn't click that thing. Let's see if we have any error as expected. So here we have one error. So when you get error, must that you have to read the error. So here we have exception in thread main. So which is telling that no such element, unable to locate the method CSS selector, this, which is indicating the ID there, which means that now if I go inspect this login button, the value is changed. This was not the value which I copied. So what is this ID doing is, each time I refresh the page, the ID is changing. So see, once again I refresh, it's changing. So this is not a constant ID. In this case, what is an option is, you can go with other selector, which we have here is name. Copy this name, paste it. Let's remove this. Find element by dot, not ID, give name. And inside name, just paste. This, when you run the project, it will work fine. So save this. Run the application. So it just got clicked and it is redirected to login page. We have seen two selectors, two locators. One is ID and one is name. This is first preferred. So name. This is second preferred. XPath. XPath is not preferred. It is actually least preferred. But mostly we will be working with XPath only. And we have CSS selector. So next thing which I am going to talk is about CSS selector. These two are almost preferred. And then we have the tag name. XPath I'll come back later because there is a whole topic on XPath. Let's move on to CSS selector. So what is the CSS selector now? So this is also one locator. I am going to perform for the same button using CSS selector. Reload this page. Take the selector button and place it here. So in case if there is no ID, or if you want to use CSS selector, click on this button, right click on this button and tell copy. So when you tell copy, you have a list of options here. Copy outer HTML, copy selector, copy JS path, copy styles, copy XPath, copy full XPath. So here when you give copy styles, so CSS is about styling, so don't make this mistake. Don't copy this style thing. It's CSS selector. So copy selector. So when you would have copied selector, I will open a notepad. So I have copied selector now. I am going to tell driver dot find element by dot CSS selector. So here I have CSS selector and I am going to paste this here. Okay. So the selector is this now. Let me go and check again if the selector is the same thing. Inspect. Copy selector. I'm coming back here. I'm pasting it here. The selector is same. So I'm gonna tell click. For the button, it has to perform click action. I'll just comment this line of code. So here, this button, I have pasted it using CSS selector. Let's go back. Save this, run as Java application. So here we have one exception which is the same. This is not found. It is telling that this value is not found, which means that maybe this selector value also is changing. So reload this, click again, copy selector, go to notepad, paste the selector here. So yeah, so what happens here is the selector is also changing. Okay, let's take for any other thing. Let's make sure we are taking the selector for this email. I'm gonna click on this and I'm gonna tell copy. Now I'll copy the selector back here, where close this console. Here I will comment this line of code and I will tell driver dot find element by dot css selector, and I will pass this. And here I will tell send keys neha gmail.com. Okay, let me remove this because this is not working, or else you just comment it. Okay, now here we perform by id. Next, same email we are entering using css selector. Save this and run the application. Now you can see with the help of css selector also you are able to enter the value into the field. Let's move to class name. Actually, class name is not preferred at all. Why it is not preferred is, for example, here you can see we have one class, div class. Actually, this is div class, but for imagine if you have the same class inside your input tag. Class name is not preferred is class name can be duplicated. So same class name can be used for other input tags as well. So in case if the class name is not duplicated, and it is unique, you can go with the class name. Else it is not preferred to use class name. Driver dot get driver dot find element by, just give class name. Here you have class name. So what is a class name? So in this case I am just going with password. Hope so this works. Here I have input text. Copy this, paste it here, and you can tell this send keys copy from here, paste it. Okay, comment this, cut this line of code and paste it here. Save it and run the application. We have exception telling compound class name is not permitted. So we cannot use compound class name. I think that is because I think we have the space here. So tag name is used to select elements from specific tag. Okay. So tag name also, what happens is when we have two input, when we are trying to select that, it will result in an error. Used to select elements from specific tags. So this tag name example discuss when we are moving forward with an example. So let's get into the link text. So link text and partial link, it is only for the URLs, okay, or the a tag, you can say anchor tag, or the links. This is only used for links. Okay, link text is preferred, most preferred. Partial link is not preferred. So let's see an example of link text and partial link text. I'm just commenting it. I'm commenting these codes here. Just tell driver dot, before that go to this facebook.com. Here we have forgot password, right? Inspect onto this forgot password. You can see HTML is anchor tag. So link text, what we have to do is we have to copy the exact text of this link. So the text is that which we can see, which is forgot password, and we have one question mark. So copy that and tell get find element by dot link text and paste this. Going to perform click, so click. So link text, it should be exact match of that text. Okay, so let's save this, run as Java application. You can see it just clicked on that forgot password link. Now what is partial link text? Comment this line now and tell driver dot find element by dot partial link text. Click. So partial means if you give only forgotten, here it should work. Only the partial part. So let's run this, run as Java application. You can see just click. So partial link text is not recommended because we don't know that maybe there are two links on a web page which is of same name, and we are giving partial first name is of same name, so that also there will be some duplication or some clash, right? So that we don't prefer partial link text, so it's better to use this link text. We'll see about XPath, but before that, this tag name, right, we'll discuss in future videos. So I'll be explaining this tag name when we are working with future videos, so that you will have a clear understanding of what is tag name, when it has to be used and why it has to be used. Now in this case, there is no use of any tag name. So yeah, that's it in this video, guys. Did not want to make the video a lengthy one. We'll see about the XPath in the next video. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any doubt or suggestion, do let me know in the comment section. Like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next video.